I want to know, how did you create a dance factory? Like, how did you create this business? What was your creative journey?
Much longer story than what we have time for, but I'll boil it down to when I was like 7 years old, my mom enrolled me in dance classes in Gloversville. That's where I primarily grew up. And as I was thinking about this, because I think about it a lot, I think we had just moved back to New York from another state. So I think after moving a lot, I think it was like, let's find something to do every week that's consistent. And so I was doing that, and fast forward, 6 or so years later, we were having difficulties paying for those classes due to some personal home life deterioration. And so my dance teacher let me work to pay for those classes. So I was babysitting her daughter, assistant teaching, house sitting when she'd go on vacations, like watching her dogs, doing all that stuff. And that was how I was able to stay in dance. Which was pretty cool, but it was a lot of work, but it definitely showed me how much dance meant to me. Yeah. And fast forward after college, when I ended up moving back home after graduating and moving around a bit, I went back to work for her again. And as a 20-something at that point, I took on a lot more responsibility with her, with like helping to run the show, picking costumes out, and I got to learn a lot more about the business. But at that point, I also had an engineering degree and needed to pay my bills. So
went to school for engineering.
Yeah, I went to school for engineering. Came back and started dancing. So I found a job in Albany, and that meant that I was driving to Gloversville like 3 nights a week to teach, and that wasn't sustainable anymore. So I started kind of finding my own freelance jobs in the area. And then when I decided, like, I think I want to teach more out here, I should start training again, and I couldn't find anything that worked for me, that's when I decided, well, maybe it's time to create the thing that I wish I could find as an adult dancer.
And that's kind of crazy. A lot of artists on the show and in general, they're always like, oh, I wanted the space, but I couldn't find something that kind of fit what I needed, so therefore I'm going to create it. So I just love this like trend of just like, especially with an upstate in New York, of like, if we want to see it, let's just create that space. And you did. Yeah. It's one of like the major dance studios in Troy, New York. So with that, what's your goal with this space?
So there's the goals that are like, I want this number of students and this income or whatever, but really like I was envisioned having a studio with multiple dance studios in it. And that's because I went to Broadway Dance Center. That's where I do my training, is down in the city, and there's like 7 studios or 6 rooms, and I'm like, oh, that's what I want, Obviously it didn't start that way, but I'm actually this fall, I'm gonna be up to 3 rooms, hundreds of dancers at this point, which is amazing. So the studio itself is doing really great. We're seeing a lot of people. As far as the dancers coming into the space, I want a space where everyone feels like they have a safe place to be in the studio. So that's from the people who, I literally had these conversations with some of my newer students last night who feel like they're not dancers and they don't deserve to call themselves dancers, which is a lot of conversations that we have. What constitutes a dancer? At what point do you become one? And do we need permission? And so we work with people who aren't even sure where they're at on that journey, to people who grew up dancing competitively and still come to the studio and feel challenged by the work they get. So really like all levels, all different people who get to find a safe space and feel really comfortable becoming a new version of themselves as they learn more about themselves through the confidence they build at the studio. Like
you really do have to build confidence with dancing.
You have to build confidence. Yeah, but it's also like sometimes that desire is really there. Like you want to be a confident person and you know what it looks like, but you need the right environment,
to kind of foster it.
Foster that.
So how do you foster that environment for dancers to feel connected, to feel safe, to feel supported? It's a very communal environment. Yeah. It feels like everyone has to work together to kind of meet a common goal. Yeah. So how do you personally achieve that? When
dancers come into the space, we do our warm-up, and then instead of me answering all their questions, I have them answer each other's questions. So I put the music on low, and I say, you've got like 5-7 minutes, whatever it kind of takes until I see that the work is done, for you to ask each other if you have questions from last week's material. So now instead of me spending half an hour answering everyone's questions, in about 5 minutes, everyone's getting their questions answered by their classmates.
That's cool.
Which is awesome. Yeah. And I'm there, I'm present and listening in case anyone gets misdirected or gets stuck, to like jump in and make that correction or help them out. But it's really fostered the sense of community. Classes don't feel competitive, like dancers are not competing with each other in the space. They're there supporting each other. They're being held accountable because they know they might have to help their classmates, but they also know that someone's got their back.
Yeah.
So it's super cool.
And that's important, too.
So important. And we have, I have an app, too, for the studio where dancers who are at the studio actually can be part of the app, and literally they'll post in the app, hey, I'm missing class this week. Does anyone want to come have dinner with me, hang out in my living room and teach me? And so they're actually communicating.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's
So,
really cool.
so it's like multi-layered of how you like keep the connection and the spirit going.
Yeah, it's really
awesome.
cool.
And that kind of relates to your mentorship program that I want to make sure we talk about a little bit. And how do you, choreo ball?
So it's actually choreo ball.
Choreo ball. Okay,
Yeah.
choreo ball.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, give us some information, give us some background on that and why it's important.
So it's loosely modeled off an event called Carnival: a choreographer's ball, which happens in cities all across the world, and it's where choreographers get to present like experimental works of art. Choreographers who are working in the field and oftentimes are creating for a client who want to just like create a piece that feels authentic. And I really liked that, and I wanted to marry an idea like that with an event for charity. So domestic violence is something that's very like near and dear to my personal experience in my heart, and so I wanted to create an event similar to the carnival, so I call it Choreo Ball. And so, and we do it for charity, so proceeds for tickets go to the Unity House Domestic Violence Program.
That's great.
But the program itself is that our dancers, which are actually 95% adult, 5% or less in my studio is children. So our adult dancers get to apply to create and present choreography in April under mentorship. And so they basically are committing to presenting a piece, working with other students, other adult students in the studio, because I don't allow solos, because community building is really important to me.
Yeah, can't be solo in that.
Yeah, exactly. And then they are assigned a mentor, and so the mentor is one of the staff, so it's either myself or one of my employees. And that mentor meets with them at the beginning of the process and throughout the process to help guide them on anything that they need as they're creating their choreography for the first time ever. So we have, we'll help them with everything from personnel issues, like, oh, we have someone who's just showing up late all the time or whatever, to picking out costumes that work for them, to reworking parts of the choreography that from our own experience we know might need reworking, to getting them through like getting stuck, like getting writer's block, but dancer's block.
Oh, okay. So it's a full mentorship. You're really giving them a lot.
Mentorship.
Okay.
Yeah, helping them learn how to edit. We talk to them about lighting, staging. I tell them at different parts of the stage, like how an audience might perceive the emotion. So we really talk through a lot, and by the end of it, they have a piece to present.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. So it's important. So I would say this is really important for emerging dancers because they are learning all those pieces. They're learning from step one all the way to the end to how to choreograph a whole set.
Yeah, it's super cool because I actually have two of my current staff members actually started working for me as a result of what I saw from them at Choreo Ball, as well as during that 5 to 7 minutes of class time where they get to teach each other. So it helps me see like my dancers grow into teachers and choreographers, and then present to them opportunities if they want to work at the studio as I see their growth and interest. So that's been really cool. And then I think it's important for dancers who really want to learn more about their own voice in dance to take classes from different instructors.
If you were to have a dancer leave your studio, what is one thing you want them to take with them, carry them? What do you want them to carry out of that space?
Curiosity.
Curiosity. Now, why curiosity? What's that about?
Because my hope is that if they are leaving the studio for something, if it's not like moving or injury or something, that it's because they just are hungry to learn more. That they maybe didn't feel like they were getting, or in a space that they didn't feel that they were getting it in. And so to me, that's just curiosity. Like literally, what else is out there for me to learn?
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you. Well, thank you for talking to us about the Troy Dance Factory.
Thank you.
Do a little shout out. I know you do Full Out Fest. You want to mention how you're doing Full Out Fest? Give you a little promo for that before we end this interview.
Full Out Fest is August 11th this year. It's going to be at Riverfront Park in Troy, as it has been. And the rain date's August 18th. We've got probably about 15 vendors. I don't know how many dances, but maybe like 25 or so dances that we'll have. And then, food and drink vendors, the artists. I've got a lot of artists that I'm reviewing to, hopefully offer that platform to as well. So, you know, rappers, singer-songwriters, bands. So it's going to be another really hopefully beautiful time.
Awesome.
But August 11th.
There you go, Troy Dance Factory doing a lot for the community. Thank you so much, Nadine, for stopping by today.
Thank you. I appreciate this very much.